Ladies and gentlemen, oh surrender, such a dirty little word, isn't it? Makes you think of weakness, doesn't it? Oh, but let me tell you something, my friend, you've been fighting the losing battle your whole life. You think you can control it all. Oh, surrender, let's talk about that word for a second. You know, most people treat it like it's some dirty secret, like it's the ultimate sign of weakness. It's almost like when you hear it, you start thinking, oh no, that's not for me. I don't give up, I don't quit. But let me tell you something, that's the biggest lie you've been told. What's weak is trying to control everything, trying to bend the world to your will, as if it's some obedient little puppy. You think you got it all figured out, right? You think that by holding on tighter, by planning every step, by controlling every outcome, that you're somehow stronger, smarter, better. But really, all you're doing is suffocating yourself. You're drowning in your own attempt to hold it all together, trying to convince everyone, and even yourself, that you're in charge. But deep down, you know you're not. And that's the thing that really eats away at you, isn't it? The more you try to control, the more you realize you can't. You can't control people. You can't control the future. You can't even control what happens to you in the next second. So why keep pretending? Surrender is the thing most people fear because it goes against everything they've been taught. Don't show weakness. Don't let anyone see you sweat. They tell you to fight, to keep pushing forward no matter the cost. Fight, fight, fight. But here's the twist: fighting like that, it gets you nowhere. You fight because you think you're in control, but in reality you're just fighting against yourself. What you don't realize is that the real strength doesn't come from the constant struggle. No, the real strength is in the surrender. The moment you stop fighting, the moment you let go, is the moment when things start to shift. That's when you realize the strength you were searching for was already there, quietly waiting for you to stop resisting. It's like standing in a storm, right? You can either brace yourself against the wind, trying to keep your feet planted, hoping the storm will pass, or you can simply let the wind carry you. Sure, you might get tossed around, but you're no longer fighting it. You're going with it, and there's a weird kind of freedom in that. Let's face it, trying to control everything is exhausting. It drains you. You can plan and you can plot, and you can stress about every little detail. But life doesn't care about your plans. Life has its own rhythm, its own dance. And the more you try to step in line to make it go your way, the more you'll find yourself tripping over your own feet. You fight against it, and it fights back, and before you know it, you're tangled in your own mess. The world doesn't stop because you're not ready for it, and life doesn't take a pause because you haven't figured out your next move. It just keeps going. It always keeps going. So what are you going to do? Fight it until you're too tired to even stand? Or are you going to accept that maybe, just maybe, there's something bigger at play here? The truth is, surrender isn't about giving up. It's not about lying down and saying, I can't do it anymore, I'm done. No, surrender is about recognizing that you don't have to do it all. It's about letting go of the pressure that you've put on yourself, the pressure that's telling you that you have to control every little thing in your life. Surrender is about accepting that you're not the one in charge. You never were. You're a passenger on this ride, not the driver. The faster you learn that, the more you'll see that there's a kind of peace in that. A peace that comes from the realization that you're not the one holding everything up. You don't have to carry all that weight. You don't have to keep fighting for control when it's never truly been yours. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a difference between surrender and giving up. Surrender isn't about throwing your hands in the air and saying, whatever happens, happens. No, surrender is about choosing to stop resisting what is. It's about choosing to stop fighting against the current and instead letting it carry you. It's about trusting that no matter how rough the waters get, they'll carry you to where you're supposed to be. And yeah, it might feel scary at first, letting go, giving up that sense of control. It might make you feel vulnerable. It might make you feel exposed. But here's the twist: those moments of fear, of uncertainty, that's where the real growth happens. That's where the magic is. You think you need control to stay safe. You think if you have control, you're invincible. But in reality, control makes you a prisoner of your own making. It keeps you trapped in a cage of your own expectations, your own plans. When you let go of that need, when you surrender to the flow of life, you unlock something far more powerful. You unlock the ability to live in the moment, to accept whatever comes your way without fear. It's the freedom to exist without constantly battling the world. The power of surrender is in the acceptance of what is. And in that acceptance, you find your strength. That's the secret. No one tells you the strength you're looking for. It's not in the control you cling to. It's in the courage to let go. You know what's funny? People love to think they've got everything figured out, like they have some sort of master plan. They talk about their goals, their dreams, their grand visions for the future. They have everything neatly mapped out, step by step, like they're the ones in control. They think they're steering the ship, like if they just work hard enough, if they hustle enough, if they grind enough, everything will fall into place. But guess what? It's all a joke. It's an illusion. You can plan and plan, but life doesn't care about your little plans. It's going to do whatever the hell it wants to do, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You can sit there clutching your little roadmap like it's going to save you, but the reality is that it's not. Your grip on the steering wheel is just a facade. You're not the one in control, and the sooner you realize that, the better. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. Are you telling me I shouldn't have goals? Shouldn't try to make my life better? And of course the answer is no. I'm not saying you should give up on your dreams. But let's be real, life isn't a straight line. No matter how much you plan, no matter how hard you work, you're going to hit roadblocks, you're going to fall down, you're going to get knocked on your ass. That's just the way it is. And trying to control every little detail, trying to make everything go exactly as you want it to, is only going to lead to frustration. You'll beat yourself up over every misstep, every mistake. You'll be so focused on the future that you'll miss the life happening right in front of you. You'll burn yourself out. And for what? So you can check off a few boxes on your to-do list. Here's the thing, the more you try to control, the more you set yourself up for failure. Life doesn't give a damn about your timeline. It's not going to wait for you to get your act together. You can make all the plans you want, but the universe will laugh in your face. It's a game you can't win. The more you hold on, the more you try to control every aspect of your life, the more you're going to find that things slip through your fingers. You're going to hold tighter and tighter and tighter, but the faster you grip, the faster it slips away. That's what you've been doing, isn't it? Trying so hard to keep everything together, thinking that if you just try harder, if you just push harder, that it will all work out. But the harder you push, the more you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. So what's the solution? Surrender. Yeah, I said it. Surrender. Let go of the need to control everything. Accept that you're not in charge and you never were. The moment you realize that, the moment you let go of that desperate grip, that's when things start to change. Surrender doesn't mean you give up, doesn't mean you stop trying. No. It means you stop fighting against the current, stop trying to swim upstream. It means you stop wasting energy on things that are completely out of your control and start focusing on what you can actually do. It's not about rolling over and accepting whatever comes your way. It's about recognizing that sometimes you've got to step back and let life unfold as it will. The more you try to force your will onto the world, the more you're fighting an unwinnable battle. You can't control everything, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can start living. But that's the thing. People are so terrified of surrender. They see it as weakness. They think it means they've failed somehow. They think it means they've given up. But it's not about giving up. It's about recognizing that you're not in control. And when you recognize that, when you stop pretending you have all the answers, that's when you free yourself from the chains of stress and anxiety. You stop carrying around the weight of the world on your shoulders, thinking you have to handle everything on your own. You let go of the pressure to have it all figured out, and guess what happens? You start living. You stop rushing through life, ticking off boxes and racing to the next big goal. You start living in the moment, appreciating what you have right now, instead of constantly looking for what's next. You can't predict the future. You can't control what happens tomorrow, next week, next year. No matter how much you plan, no matter how much you try to control, you don't have the power to control what happens. Life is unpredictable, and that's what makes it exciting. The beauty of life is that it's messy, it's chaotic, it's full of twists and turns that you didn't see coming. Trying to control every outcome is like trying to control the wind. It's futile, it's exhausting. It's a game that no one wins. So stop fighting it. Stop pretending that you're in charge. Surrender isn't about weakness, it's about strength. The strength to let go, the strength to trust that things will work out, even if you can't see how. It's about having the courage to admit that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. Because the truth is, nobody does. Not you, not me, not anyone. The key to peace isn't in trying to control everything. It's in surrendering to the process, accepting the unpredictability of life and trusting that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. Life isn't about fighting to get to the top. It's about embracing the ride wherever it takes you. You can fight it or you can surrender to it. But either way, life's going to do what it's going to do. And the only thing you can control is how you react to it. You know what people are really good at? Holding on. They hold on to everything: memories, grudges, expectations. They hold on to pain like it's some sort of trophy, like they're somehow proud of it. And why? Why would you want to keep holding on to something that's just dragging you down? It's funny, isn't it? We hold on to these things thinking they define us, thinking they shape who we are. But all they're really doing is turning us into something we're not. Every little hurt, every little disappointment, it builds up. You pile it on until you're carrying a weight so heavy you can't even move. And for what? For who? What do you get out of it? Oh sure, you get to wear your pain like a badge of honor. But all it does is make you miserable. You're stuck in the past, stuck in the same cycle, trapped by your own mind. Holding on to the past is like holding on to a dead body. You're carrying it around like it's still alive, thinking it still matters. But all it does is rot and smell and weigh you down. You can't move forward, you can't move at all because you're too busy clinging to things that don't even exist anymore. But here's the thing. The one thing you've never been told: the only way you'll ever move forward, the only way you'll ever truly be free, is if you let go. Let go of that weight. Let go of the past, let go of the pain, let go of the idea that you need it to define you. But how? How do you let go of something that's been part of you for so long? How do you just drop it all like it's nothing? The trick is this: you stop fighting it. You stop clinging to the things that don't serve you, the things that have been poisoning you from the inside. You stop resisting the idea that it's okay to not have it all figured out, to not be perfect, to not be in control. Because let's face it, you're not. You never were. You never will be. And that's okay. You don't need to be. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should just ignore your pain, ignore your problems, pretend they're not there. No, that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is this: stop letting it control you. Stop letting it tell you who you are. It's like having a shadow that follows you everywhere, telling you what to do, what to feel. You think you're in control, but the shadow's the one making all the decisions. And you can't see it because you're too busy staring at your feet, too busy looking down at the mess you've created. But if you just looked up for a second, if you just stopped for a moment, you'd realize something. The shadow only exists because you're still holding on. The moment you let go, the moment you stop feeding it, the shadow disappears. It's not magic. It's freedom. Freedom from your own mind, freedom from your own insecurities, freedom from the past that's been chaining you down for so long. But it's scary, right? Letting go means stepping into the unknown. It means stepping out of your comfort zone, where everything feels safe even if it's miserable. It means you have to trust that there's something better out there, something worth fighting for. It means you have to trust yourself, trust the process, and trust that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. But here's the kicker: how will you ever know if you don't let go? How will you ever know what's waiting for you on the other side if you don't stop holding on to the past? People are terrified of change, terrified of what might happen if they stop holding on to the things that they think they can't live without. But here's the truth: you can. You'll be just fine. You'll probably be better than fine. In fact, you'll be stronger, freer, more alive than you ever were before. But you have to take the leap. You have to trust that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, has a plan for you. You have to trust that you're exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel like it. And I know it's not easy. I know it's hard to let go of the things that have hurt you, the things that have shaped you. But here's the thing: those things don't define you. You do. You're the one who gets to decide who you are, not the things that have happened to you. The more you hold on to those things, the more you let them shape you, the more you let them control you, the less you're living. You're just surviving, barely getting by. But when you let go, when you stop fighting, when you stop carrying around that dead weight, that's when you start living. That's when you start feeling free. It's like a breath of fresh air after being trapped in a room for far too long. It's the release of all the tension you've been holding on to, the stress, the fear. It's the moment you finally realize that it's okay to not have it all figured out. It's okay to not know what's next. It's okay to be uncertain, because uncertainty is where the magic happens. It's where the real growth happens. It's where you find out who you really are. But you'll never know unless you let go. You'll never know unless you step outside your comfort zone and give yourself the chance to be more than the sum of your past. The moment you stop holding on is the moment you start living. And once you start living, you realize that everything you thought you needed to carry, it was never yours to begin with. It was just a burden, a weight that was holding you down, keeping you from flying. And now you're free. You ever notice how people are so obsessed with the idea of control? It's like they think if they just grip harder, if they just fight a little more, they can bend the universe to their will. They're out there with their lists, their schedules, thinking they're orchestrating everything, like they're in charge of the show. And they do it every single day: wake up, grind, struggle, force things into place. They act like it's all about effort, about pushing through, about the hustle. But here's the joke: it's all futile. It's like trying to hold on to water with your hands. No matter how hard you squeeze, it slips right through. And the harder you squeeze, the more it slips away. Yet they keep trying, they keep holding on, convinced that if they just push harder, they'll get what they want. But all they're doing is exhausting themselves. They're trying to control the uncontrollable. They're trying to manage chaos, trying to box in the wind, trying to leash the lightning. They're trying to act like they're the ones in charge, but the reality is they're just puppets on strings, yanking at the wrong ones, fighting a battle that's already lost. Isn't it funny? The more you try to control, the more you lose grip. But do they ever stop? No, they don't. Because here's the thing about control: it's an illusion. You can plan, you can prepare, you can strategize, but the universe, life, they don't care about your plans. It doesn't give a damn about your to-do list. It's not following your schedule. It's not waiting for you to check all the boxes and hit all your milestones. It's doing its own thing. And you're just along for the ride. But somehow people still think they have control, right? They think if they just try a little harder, if they just push a little more, things will work out. They can't stand the idea of letting go because in their minds, letting go means losing. But guess what? The irony is they're already losing whether they realize it or not. They're losing time. They're losing themselves. They're losing their minds, all because they refuse to admit that they're not in control. The harder you push, the more resistance you're going to get. And the more resistance you get, the more you're going to exhaust yourself, wearing down, breaking down. All while the world keeps turning. All while everything keeps moving. And you're stuck in this endless loop of fight and frustration. It's like running on a treadmill at full speed. You're sweating, you're pushing, but you're not going anywhere. It's a cruel joke, but people still keep running, keep pushing, thinking they'll break through. They keep trying to control what they can't, and it eats them up inside, robs them of their peace, of their joy, of their ability to enjoy the very thing they're fighting so hard to control. But it's all for nothing. The universe isn't some obedient servant. It doesn't bow down to your will. No, it's this vast, chaotic, unpredictable thing that doesn't care about your plans, your hopes, your little ambitions. It's not here to follow your orders. It's here to remind you that you're not in charge. But there's a way out. You know what it is. Surrender. Sounds weak, right? Surrender. That word has this connotation like it's a form of defeat, like you're just rolling over and letting life walk all over you. But here's the twist: the real strength comes in surrendering. Real power comes from letting go. Because when you stop fighting, when you stop trying to control everything, that's when you free yourself. That's when you start to realize that you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to know what's coming next. You don't need to have the whole damn thing planned out. You just need to trust the process. Trust that the world will unfold as it should. Trust that whatever's coming, you can handle it. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means accepting that there are things you simply cannot change. It means understanding that you don't need to micromanage every little detail. It means stepping back, releasing the grip, and allowing life to do its thing. Trust me, it's not about resigning yourself to the chaos. It's about acknowledging that sometimes the best way to deal with the madness is to step out of the way. Let go of your tight control and watch as things start to shift. Watch as things start to move, not because you're forcing them to, but because you're letting them unfold naturally. Now I know you're probably wondering, how do you just let go? How do you just give up trying to control everything? Well, here's a secret: you don't have to do anything special. You don't have to make some grand gesture. You don't have to announce to the world that you're letting go. No, it's a subtle thing. It's a shift in perspective. It's a decision, a quiet one. It's just deciding that you're done with the fight, done with the resistance. It's deciding that you don't need to control the outcome anymore. You don't need to stress yourself out over things you can't change. You don't need to drown in a sea of worry over what might happen, what could go wrong, what could slip through your fingers. Let it go. Because once you stop fighting, once you stop holding on to things you can't control, something beautiful happens. You start living. You start breathing easier. You start finding peace in the chaos. You stop running in place and start moving forward. Not because you're forcing it, but because you're letting it happen. You're letting life flow. You're letting it go where it needs to go. And the beauty of that is, when you let go, life always finds a way. Life always delivers. It always provides what you need, exactly when you need it. You don't need to try to force it. You don't need to cling to it. You don't need to make it happen. Life's got it covered. You just need to trust it. You know what they say, right? People are always looking for answers. Always searching for the magic formula, the secret code, the one thing that will make everything fall into place. They want solutions to every little problem, every twist of fate. They think there's some big plan, some grand design, and if they just figure it out, everything will be all right. They think it's all about the right choices, the right moves, the right decisions. But here's the punchline, it's all a joke. It's all a setup, a trick. You can spend your whole life looking for the answers, and guess what? You're never going to find them. And that's the beauty of it, because in reality, the answers don't matter. The questions don't matter. You can search and search for the one thing that's going to change your life, the thing that's going to make it all make sense. But it's all just smoke and mirrors. You think the answer is going to fix everything, but it won't. You think if you just find the right path, everything will be perfect, but it won't be. And that's the thing, isn't it? We're all running around like chickens with our heads cut off, looking for meaning, looking for purpose, trying to figure out how to make everything work, when the truth is, it's not supposed to work. Not in the way we think it should. No matter how much we try to plan, to control, to organize the chaos, it's still going to be chaos. It's still going to be unpredictable. You're still going to stumble. You're still going to fall. You're still going to get lost. And no amount of planning, no amount of organizing, no amount of searching is going to stop that. But here's the thing, that's okay. It's okay that you don't have all the answers. It's okay that you can't control every little thing that happens. It's okay that life isn't some neatly packaged, perfectly scripted show. Because life, true life, isn't about control. It's not about finding the right answers or making the perfect moves. It's about embracing the chaos. It's about accepting that you don't know what's coming next, and that's all right. In fact, it's better than all right. It's freedom. Freedom from the need to know, freedom from the need to control, freedom from the idea that you need to have everything figured out. The problem is we've been taught that we need to have the answers. We've been taught that success comes from having it all figured out, from knowing what comes next. But who's the genius who thought that was a good idea? Who said that the only way to live is to have a roadmap, a set plan, a blueprint for every single step? No, no, no. Life's not a blueprint. Life's not a roadmap. Life is a series of mistakes, missteps, miscalculations. It's about finding your way through the mess, through the mistakes. It's about accepting that you're not going to get it right every time. But somehow we've been led to believe that if we don't have all the answers, we're failures. If we don't have the right plan, we're somehow not good enough. We're told to fight against the uncertainty, to fight against the mess, to fight against the unknown. And that's where we go wrong. The more we fight, the harder we push, the more we resist what is, the worse things get. It's like trying to fight the tide, thinking you can control the waves. It doesn't matter how strong you are, how hard you try. You'll never win. The tide's always going to win. And you know what? That's the best part. Because if you stop fighting, if you just stop resisting and accept the mess, accept the chaos, you start seeing something else. You start seeing that there's beauty in the mess. There's magic in the chaos. The unpredictability is what makes life exciting, what makes it worth living. It's the reason we're all here in the first place. But here's the kicker. People don't want to see it. They don't want to accept the chaos. They don't want to accept the mess. They don't want to accept the unknown, because that means they have to trust. And trusting, that's the hardest part, isn't it? Trusting that things will work out, trusting that even if you don't know what's coming next, it'll be okay. But that's where the magic happens, in that trust. The moment you stop fighting, the moment you stop trying to control everything, you allow space for the universe to step in. You allow space for something greater to take over. And that's when the real magic happens. That's when the unexpected turns into something beautiful. But it requires surrender. It requires letting go. It requires you to accept that you can't do it all on your own. That you don't have all the answers, that you don't need to have it all figured out. And that's a scary thought, right? Not knowing what's next. Not knowing how it's all going to turn out. But here's the truth you don't need to know. You don't need to control it. Because the moment you let go, the moment you trust, you open yourself up to possibilities you couldn't even dream of. You open yourself up to a world where things work out in ways you never expected, in ways you never could have planned for. Because the universe, life, it's a mystery. And the more you try to solve it, the more you try to dissect it, the more you try to make sense of it, the more you miss. The more you miss the beauty, the more you miss the surprise, the more you miss the thrill of the unknown. Let go of the answers. Let go of the need to control. Embrace the chaos, because that's where the real adventure begins. You know, the funniest thing about life is how everyone thinks they can control it. It's like a game to them, isn't it? They all wake up thinking they've got the rules figured out. Like there's some kind of mastermind playing chess, moving the pieces with precision, trying to win the game. They create their little plans, their neat little schedules. They think they know what's coming next. They think they can control every outcome, every moment. They're convinced they can control the entire game, like the universe is some kind of vending machine. You just put your coins in, press the button, and out comes exactly what you want. And isn't that adorable? Watching them go through life like that, like they're really the ones calling the shots. It's cute. But here's the joke, they're not in control. They never were. They never will be. The universe doesn't work on their terms. It doesn't operate on their own timelines. Life doesn't give a damn about their schedules. It doesn't care about their 5-year plans or their success strategies. Life is messy, it's chaotic, it's unpredictable. And no matter how hard you try to control it, it will always find a way to slip through your fingers. You think you can manage it, right? You think you can manage every moment, every twist of fate, every decision. Well, the truth is you can't. No matter how much you try, like life's going to do what life's going to do, and you're just along for the ride. You can hold on tight, you can try to steer, but ultimately the wheel's not in your hands. And isn't that a relief? Isn't it nice to know you don't have to do it all? You don't have to control every second, every outcome, every little thing that happens. The truth is, the harder you try to control life, the more it slips away from you. You fight it, you resist, you grip the wheel tighter, and the faster it spins out of control. And here's the thing, they'll never admit it. They'll never admit that they don't know what's going to happen next. They'll never admit that they're just as clueless as the next person. No, they'll keep pretending. They'll keep acting like they have everything under control, as if the world's just going to follow their lead. And it's hilarious, isn't it? Watching people run around in circles thinking they're in charge, thinking they're making all the decisions, while the universe is just laughing at them. It's like watching a child try to boss around the grown-ups. It's cute. But ultimately, they're just spinning their wheels. They're putting their energy into something that will never work. They're fighting a battle they can never win. And the irony, they'll never stop fighting. Because letting go, that's the last thing they'll do. Surrendering, giving up control, no, they won't do that. They can't. Because to them, surrendering means weakness. It means failure. It means admitting that they don't have all the answers, that they don't have all the power. But here's the truth. Surrendering doesn't mean weakness. It's actually the strongest thing you can do. Because when you stop fighting, when you stop trying to control everything, that's when you're free. That's when you open yourself up to something bigger than yourself, something beyond your understanding. You stop being shackled by the illusion of control. And that's when you start to live. You start to let go of the fear, the anxiety, the constant need to manipulate every situation, and you begin to trust. Trust that life will work out. Trust that even if you don't have all the answers, you're still going to make it. Trust that the universe has a way of taking care of things, even when you don't know what's coming next. But it's not easy, is it? No. People are terrified of surrendering. terrified of letting go of the reins, of admitting they don't know what the hell is going on. They want to know, they want to control, they want to feel like they're the ones steering the ship. And so they keep fighting, they keep pushing, they keep trying to make everything fit into their neat little boxes. They're afraid of the chaos, they're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of what will happen if they just let go and let life do its thing. But here's the punchline: the more you fight the chaos, the more it's going to swallow you whole. The more you try to control, the more out of control you'll become. You can't control everything. You can't control other people. You can't control the world. You can't control fate. So why waste your time trying? Why not just take a step back, release the grip, and let things unfold as they will? Because here's the dirty little secret. When you stop trying to control everything, when you stop obsessing over the future, when you stop worrying about the next move, that's when you actually start to live. That's when you start to feel alive. You start embracing the chaos, you start accepting that you don't have all the answers, and you stop pretending that you do. You let life surprise you. And isn't that the best part? The beauty of life is in its unpredictability, in its messiness, in its surprises. It's not about the plan, the timeline, the roadmap, it's about the journey, the ride. And once you realize that, once you accept that you can't control every little detail, that's when everything changes. You let go of the fear, the anxiety, the need for control, and you embrace the freedom that comes with it. You let life be what it is, without trying to force it into something it's not. You stop running around like a madman trying to hold everything together and just let it fall apart. And in that falling apart, something amazing happens. You realize that you don't need to have everything figured out. You realize that you don't need to control every single thing in your life. You realize that the best thing you can do is to trust, to let go, to surrender. And that, my friend, is when the real magic happens.